Alright, yesterday Luke Smith posted his director's cut part 1, which there's two other parts. I did read it yesterday for like a first reaction kind of thing, but my headset has this setting where if it has no audio playing for 20 minutes, it goes to sleep, and I forgot about that when I was reading it. So about like 20 minutes in reading it yesterday, there was no audio recorded, so I now have to redo it. So I decided let's do it tomorrow instead of just trying to do it in the same day. It takes a long time to read this. It's 40 pages, something like that. 20 pages, I don't remember. But at least there's two other parts, so that'll mean that I'll make sure not to mess up, and we'll get a first reaction kind of thing. So basically, I'm gonna read it all, and just add some stuff while he whatever he talks about. So let's get started here. He says, "Hello everyone. I wanted to try a little experiment with our communications and put together a longer look at where Destiny has been over the last few months and where it's heading next. I think it's important to take time to reflect on what's happened so we can show you where we're going. I'm calling this the director's cut based on how long this ended up being. A key learning from this is maybe there's a better way to communicate this than a giant wall of text. Let me know, maybe a video, maybe. I also may like doing it in a different format in the future. I'll let you know. Today, I'm going to talk about more than just the Destiny game and talk more or about how we build Destiny and the effects it can have on the team. I think transparency about the game is important, and I feel like I want to be transparent about the work required. Sound okay? That's rhetorical because a wall of text is coming up. We're making a lot of changes to Destiny 2 with Shadowkeep and New Light. We want Destiny 2 to be an amazing action MMO in a single evolving world that you can play anytime, anywhere with your friends. And this links to the um, Shadowkeep viddoc. I'm going to keep reference that all the time until it's true, and then I'm going to keep referencing until it's good enough. Alright, so the first block here, we have 10 thoughts on the last 6 months. Looking back. Overall, there were some things about Annual Pass that worked out very well and some real learnings for us along the way. The Annual Pass was a big transition for us. We've been moving away from DLC and trying to provide more ongoing reasons to play Destiny. I wanted to start the State of the Game series by looking back on how we got here. I'm going to largely focus on Season of the Drifter to near present day. We set up a calendar of content, showed you the plan early, and delivered it. A lot of you love Destiny for the chase on the way to improving your characters. Between the annual pass drops, quest lines, and events in between, the team did a great job of providing stuff to do, items to chase, growing fat with strength, etc. Destiny's history has had many content droughts, but not this year. But the annual pass was harder on the team than we anticipated. The scope of what we delivered, the pace that we delivered it, and the overall thought put for annual pass takes a toll on Bungie's team. I and many others had conversations throughout the year with team members who jumped from release to release about the grind of working on Destiny. Working on the game was starting to wear people down. Here's an example. During the annual pass, we've added bespoke ways to earn rewards each season. Black Armory had its bounty, Season of Drifter had the Reckoning Machine, Season of the Opulence had a Chalice. Each of these mechanics, each with their own lessons, were valuable, but also put the team into unsustainable development cycle. We needed to develop a more systematic or systemic standardized set of mechanics of progression to keep our teams healthier. We're going to take this problem on in D2 Year 3. Alright, we got a short one here. We have a powerful sources problem, which kind of do, kind of don't. As the game's weekly sources of power grew, the Destiny grew with it, or Destiny grew with it. This, at times, could really feel like a chore, which it does sometimes. Each season brought it with new powerful sources, and optimizing your character meant that you had to be maybe still running 3 story missions every week, or returning to Dreaming City months after those few magical trips from last fall. Now, see, he mentions these story missions, which I don't do when I'm power grinding, they're a waste of time, and not even worth it. And the Dreaming City is also not worth it, because apparently, I don't know, in this season when I did the Dreaming City for the first week, in Season Opulence, maybe it was a bug, but it only dropped, the gear that dropped was like +1, +2, compared to like the Crucible or like Gambit dropped like +5, +6, so it wasn't really worth doing Dreaming Seed. Maybe in the last 10, but the first 40 wasn't worth it for sure. Anyways, I feel like we needed to do a better job of shifting power sources, or powerful sources. We could explore things like changing the value of powerful sources to create new seasonal efficiencies or retire some powerful sources as we bring new sources into the game. Simply put, I wish we'd been able to do more seasonal curation of the game. Alright, we have another chunk here. Season of the Drifter Thoughts, Part 1. I like Gambit Prime. It felt like a great refinement of Gambit to me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. It's pretty great. Matches end quicker, so it's more efficient. The invader frequency feels lower, so I can collect and dunk. I think there's something cool about the roles, although the requirements to get a full set online to inhabit a role meant not enough folks got to appreciate the playstyle diversity. In the future, we're going to have to make a choice, which Gambit is the Highlander of Gambits, Prime or Classic. I like to call it Old Gambit, but Classic's fine as well. This isn't just removing stuff from Destiny 2, but the game cannot grow infinitely forever. It's about focusing refinements and evolutions to the Gambit ecosystem. We think Gambit is sweet and deserves more ongoing support, and we need to ultimately focus that support on whichever mode ends up being the Highlander. There can only be one. That said, we hear you that not everyone is excited about this season that overly focuses on one part of the game. Destiny is a game with a lot of breadth, and we agreed that this season felt too specialized, which it kind of did for sure, but I don't mind Gambit, so I don't really mind playing it. So, Season of Drifter Thoughts, Part 2, aka let's talk about the Reckoning and encounter design. The first time I used Phoenix Protocol at home, I knew it was over. It's an exotic coat that refills my Well of Radiance and then refills itself as I slay, so that I can continue to place my Well of Stand here to be blunt and invulnerable and deal tons of damage. That was a great video that talks about Well of Radiance effects on the PvE game. I wondered, how are we going to make content fairly challenging, or challenge that fairly challenges players again? With Reckoning and Season of Drifter, we got a taste of what kind of content we need to build to challenge protocol wearing warlocks. Match-made encounters that accost you from all directions, plant snipers off in the distance, and put players in between a pincher attack of many whelps. Handle it. I want there to be a link here, but definitely not T for teen. And giant bosses. Also F you giant knight taking guy, which is pretty annoying for sure. This is what it had to be. We were breaking encounter rules left, right, and center on the Reckoning Bridge, which was scary the first time playing it, in no small part due to players in always active wells of radiance becoming invulnerable guards holding all six infinity stones all the time. In Reckoning, we set to build an activity that could be relatively easy at Tier 1 and scale up to a very challenging at Tier 3. We have an internal team codenamed Velveeta. They were formed in the wake of the Crotus and Modern Unplugging debacle to help find the cheesiest things to do slash use in the challenging PvE portions of the game. These players are some of the craftiest. Once Velveeta can get close to beating something or beat it outright, that becomes an important data point on our "is this hard enough" evaluation. We give them a bunch of tips like here's how this works, can you beat it? So if they can, it's a good indicator of the action game and gear game working together. Let's talk about encounter design. Generally, in activities we expect players to complete alone, dungeon raid, 0 hour type activities can play by a different set of properties, or in matchmade groups, there are a number of guidelines we can use when we build them. First, we don't want to spawn enemies behind the player. We want players to play a game of taking space from enemies. We want players to have cover where their shields and health can recharge, or where they can get smart using geometry, movement, ability, and gunplay to dig enemies out of cover, and make interesting decisions about target prioritization. We want players to be able to understand where in the space enemies will come from, and if we're going to reverse the combat from front on players, aka spawn enemies behind them, we want to telegraph that. We use drop shifts, spawn clouds, audio cues, and all kinds of tricks to try and prepare players for reinforcements. As character power was dramatically increasing, more reasons for this increase later on, the encounter rules got thrown out the window. So what they mean here is basically, say the forge, the Baguzia forge, which is 640 power, and the max was 650, and it was really hard to do it well because you were only 10 above the power level. Now, when the Season of Drifter came out, the max power was 700, so now it's 50 above the regular 640. So now you could just literally, nothing hurts anymore. It's just the game is just a regular kill and shoot, while the other one, when you're 640, 650, is actually some mechanics. You have to like hide and stuff, or you would die, not have to throw enough batteries for the forge. So that's what they mean. How the encounter rules get thrown out is because the game keeps growing and the power keeps increasing, but the activities don't increase. So I don't know. They could remove power and scale it up to their power, but that still becomes a problem in the actual season because that wouldn't be fun. You know, people, if activity is 630 or not 630, like 780 and the power level is 800, they want to be 800 and do the activity and be easier instead of being scaled to 800 because they're 800. I don't know. That's just one thing, but it makes sense that they have this here. Anyways, to summarize this, Destiny had sweet gear, and in order to create challenge in the Reckoning, we broke a bunch of encounter design philosophy. The sweet gear, coupled with the encounter design, meant the number of ways to viability efficiently progress was dramatically reduced. We want Destiny to be a game where you have lots of choices with your character, but what you choose to do and following those actions choices down to only one in Reckoning is something we don't want to repeat. It was more about damage and player power sprinkled in this update, and even more on the rest. Last note, I think it's totally sweet when activity challenges you to do something other than your favorite item. I don't think the whole game should work that way, but when it's time to bust some shields on the Shanks, in 0 hour I had to use a distant relation scout rifle in my vault. Most people use the Arbalisk for shields in that one, but scout rifle is pretty good. Anyway, Season of Drifter Thoughts Part 3, aka now talk about difficulty and touch on sandbox nerfs. I started to talk about challenge difficulty above and drifted, to encounter difficulty, but it's all related. When the media would come to play our Halo games for an event, we'd always recommend they play the game on Heroic. Heroic challenge changed a bunch about Halo combat. It made enemy weapons more accurate, but not too accurate. Enemies would fire more frequently, which made you feel like a hero when you dodged them. It increased projectile speed, and Heroic lowered player outgoing damage, so the enemies would survive longer and make their way further through their behavior tree, and therefore appear more intelligent. There is more than just the above going on, but that's a quick summary of some of our changes. But here's why. We asked the media to play the game on Heroic because when the game is challenging, overcoming the challenge feels incredible, which sometimes it does. Important to note here, challenge isn't something universal. In an action game, challenge can be largely personal. One person's challenge might be easy to someone else. We've historically thought that about the main Destiny campaign as something we wanted be to be pretty easy. I think D2's campaign was actually too easy at times. As players push further in the post game, they'll be able to find more challenge. Across Destiny's history, we hadn't had enough challenge deep into the end game, and that's definitely something on our list. We head toward fall 2019. Overcoming challenges is a huge part of what makes an action games moment to moment engaging. Action games are a delicate balance of growing stronger, the game rising up to push back, introducing new challenges that force you to become more powerful, a new element, and at their best, creating the fist pumping moment, a celebration when you achieve victory. But Destiny has an RPG component too, and the RPG component is about customization, optimization, and it's a way for players to choose how they overcome challenge. The entire time we've been making Destiny, the action game and the RPG have been fighting. It's forever the forever war. The RPG has the power to dramatically overcome the action game, and the action game has the power to render the RPG game irrelevant. It's aligned by nature. Destiny will always have the two straddle. In order to create challenge during Season of Drifter, we needed to break a bunch of encounter rules, having exotic like Phoenix Protocol basically function like a key or hope you match with multiple Radiance Warlocks, which then unlocks success in matchmate encounters of Reckoning. That's a really good. There's a really good video from Slayer Rage on this context of the nerfs we made heading into Season of Opulence. Those nerfs also saw Whisper the Worm get its day in court. Sad. If I could turn back time, we'd probably not run Whisper as the original Black Hammer Infinite Ammo design. However, considering the year before had Destiny 2 feeling very restrictive and power limited, I think we did the best that we could with the knowledge and intuition we had last summer. Whisper was an outlier that lets you stand still at a safe distance in a pool that makes you boiling and vulnerable, neither having to reload or relocate for ammo, and players to deal piles and piles of damage on giant bosses who aren't threatening. This isn't your fault, it's ours. We're making some stuff too easy and allowing players to circumvent parts of the game. Mechanics that circumvent the ammo game, relocate to pick up ammo bricks, or completely ignore reload animations, which is a critical part of the weapon tuning, are mechanics that create the kind of outliers that we ultimately have to tamp down before the game sprouts to the boss health version of Reckoning Bridges. Yes, because those bosses are scary. The other significant set of changes we made to the game during this time were taking down the Super Snowball exotics. With as powerful as Destiny Supers have become, they are, they are on the whole dramatically more powerful than Destiny 1's Supers. Using your super to recover your super is an amplification to players' power that the challenge and the difficulty game can't keep up with. But we're going to talk about supers much later on. Difficulty and challenge are important parts of mastery. There are more changes coming, Shadowkeep buffs to things like scout rifles, nerfs to mechanics that circumvent the ammo economy, refactoring of the way damage stacking rules work. We're going to talk about it in the next episode. So when they say about the nerfs with Super Snowball exotics, there's only 3 that really got nerfed. Oh, sun's in my face. They got nerfed basically. So there was the Skull of Akankara, which got nerfed pretty badly. That one is unusable still, unless you get super lucky, I guess. And then basically we got Phoenix Protocol, which is not that bad still. Still can regenerate super fully if you get the right area. And another one was Orpheus Rig for Hunter for Tether. And that one is actually still pretty good. It doesn't. It's still like maybe 6 or 7 or 8 enemies will fill it fully. So it's not that bad still. I still use it. It's still really good. Anyways, next we have Season of Opulence Part 1. The Pursuits Tray is a caterpillar in a cocoon. Quest log is the beautiful butterfly. I've seen streams and videos of people beating activities in Destiny blindfolded. I cannot imagine developing a muscle memory and memorization, never mind the thumb skill required to be good at Destiny with a blast shield down. When things fundamentally change in a way that interrupts muscle memory and mastery, it is frustrating. The initial set of changes to the Pursuits trait earlier this year did a few things beyond upsetting muscle memory. It certainly didn't get as far as the team wanted in the initial release, and it also didn't feel like an improvement over what previously existed. It felt like we started to redecorate your house, but we didn't finish it, and sometimes that's how things in live games can feel. The morning after the Pursuits changes went live, I talked to some folks on the UI team about the feature. They had Reddit open. Have you read it, Luke? Nah, I haven't. Please don't. The crest, they were crestfallen, not because of sometimes harsh feeling feedback, but because this team wanted to make something sweet, exceed your expectations, and meet their own expectations. None of those things happened. We wanted to try something different with Pursuits in the sense that we knew where we wanted this feature to end up, but that's where we take some iterative steps to get there. I think we've got to do a better job ensuring that while we're remodeling your house, the potential of renovation is clear either in the game or via communication here on the site. We want Questlog with great tracking that can help players prioritize what to do next. Oh, and this fall, bounties will be separated from quests, and PC players can assign a hotkey that takes them directly into pursuits, which is amazing, of course. So here's what they have set up here. So we have bounties on the right, quests on the left. And I saw on Reddit yesterday, people said it would be better if bounties would be on the left side and quests on the right, and it'd be like double the size for this. It'd be 8 bounties you see, and then it'd be 1 row on here. And I was like, that's alright, but I rather have this instead. The only thing I don't like is the text. The text can be overwhelming. I know there is some text, I think, in the new Pursuits one, but this I don't never liked because it's just, I don't know, not really a fan of it. To be honest, I would rather have the progress on this in here in full text, so it's just easier. I know that when you hover it over, you see it, but I'd rather just have the description of hovering it over here and just have the numbers here instead of like that. It's very, there's not a lot of information. I know that it's easy to hover it over, but if you're quick pressing the hotkey, open it up, and then you see what you need to do, and I know you can track it. There's some spots where you can't really track stuff, and you can't press tab to see stuff. So like if you're in orbit, quickly just tap it, and you see where you are, and boom. If there's a way where you can track it, right, and it's always the first on the list, that'd be amazing, right? Instead of being sorted by newest. So basically, tracking would be on the top. Would be very nice as well. I'm not sure if that's already. Anyways, next we have Season of Opulence Part 2, The Evolving Eververse. Last year we thought long and hard about Eververse and how we wanted to change the strategy around microtransactions in Destiny. As some folks have smartly pointed out, microtransactions is a big part of our business being a live game. I'm not going to say microtransactions funds the studio or pays for projects like Shadowkeep. It, it doesn't wholly fund either of those things, but it does help fund ongoing development of Destiny 2 and allows us to fund creative efforts we otherwise couldn't afford. For example, Whisperweb's Ornaments were successful enough that it paid dev cost-wise for the 0-hour mission slash rewards to be constructed. This shit matters, which is pretty cool information. The storefront, which we launch alongside Season Opulence, is the first part of the strategic shift we're making with microtransactions. The decision to run old content and bright engrams instead of making new bright engrams is another part of the shift. We want to believe that our players would rather just buy things they like from the store. Earlier this summer, we detailed a bunch of changes coming to Bright Dust and Eververse this fall, and if you haven't read that, go check it out here. So what this pretty much would say is that when Shadowkeep drops, anything that's worth Bright Dust will be worth Legendary Shards. So we want to delete or dismantle everything that you have that's worth Bright Dust. So any Sparrow, any Ghost, any uh, ship, any shader, and any, what do you call it? Any shader. There's one more. I don't remember. There's one more thing. Get this mantle that's worth Bright Dust. Oh yeah, and armor. Any Eververse armor. Delete that all before Shadowkeep because there's a reason why they're doing this. Not because it's gonna be worth Legendary Shards. There's gonna be a reason why you need extra Bright Dust, and Bright Dust is gonna be pretty hard to get in the future. So we'll see. Anyways, next, the storefront is going to be get another round of enhancements this fall. We're going to move it to the director, so you don't have to go to tests or go to the tower and see tests to interact with it. We're giving it more class-specific content, so if you're a Titan looking for a Titan universal ornaments with smaller shoulders, you'll see Titan armor on the store subpage. We're going to make it also if the pieces you've already acquired from the given set reduce the silver price of the set. For instance, if you have 3 out of 5 the Optimacy set on your Titan, the cost would be 60%. So basically, that's pretty cool. Tests in the director or whatever. It's kind of funny because like everyone's like saying, oh, Test needs new voice lines because it's getting pretty old. Now it's like I'm not sure she's completely removed from the tower, but now she doesn't need that because you're not going to talk to her anymore. Maybe, I don't know. Anyways, there are some other philosophies that we haven't made explicitly clear. We made we have made deliberate choices related to cosmetic items and not having them come from gameplay. Gameplay rewards are where you get items, power, mods, perk combinations, stats, triumphs, and titles. The aesthetics for armor blurs the line some. We want players to get cool armor for activities, and the world would feel thematic to where they were acquired. Cosmetic items like universal ornaments, weapon ornaments, shaders, ships, sparrows, emotes, and finishers typically come from the shop. Thus, there are expectations, but generally speaking, that's how we think about this. We're continuing to try and separate capability fresh gameplay from Vanity. Armor 2.0 and recent Ornaments are big parts of this separation. This is also why finisher perks are mods that can be socketed into equipment, so their aesthetic can be standalone. So I'm hoping the mods are similar to the glows of the Solstice armor, because when you buy the glows from Eververse, they go into your mod inventory. I have literally like no mod space in the inventory, so hopefully when you're using the finisher stuff, it's not a one-time use, and you can just redeem it. I'm sure since it's a Eververse item, I'm sure you can redeem it one time, or you can pull it from your collections. I guess that's probably one thing as well. Anyways, as always, we're welcome to your feedback and thoughts. All right, got two more blocks here. They're pretty big, but here we go. Season of Opulence. The menagerie is sweet, which is pretty good as well. Have you ever been to amazing party for something like Zero Bowl? Nope. It's that kind of party where there is wait. It's a kind of party where there is an incredible spread of snacks rolling out throughout the event, amazingly comforting seating, an AV system and TV that makes you jealous, and super sweet people to hang out with. Once you've been to this party, the Super Bowl anywhere else never feels the same. Invite me back someday. This is how I feel about Escalation Protocol. Once I had the feeling of running around in public bubbles, fighting giant bosses with a bunch of players, even though getting into a good instance of Mars for Protocol was a pain in the butt. Public gameplay never felt the same. At its peak, when you have a bunch of players slaying big old bosses, Escalation Protocol is one of the best things we've added to Destiny 2. The Menagerie, a 6-player matchmade activity where you have the progress when you make progress no matter what. It's awesome. It's a learn by watching mechanics, means that it doesn't require communication between players. The ways group can make progress, even if they don't kill the boss, means the real efficiency gain is by learning and executing the fights quickly. Asapico, or Pico, beloved by Callus, and also beloved by me, feels a great translation of the World of Warcraft's Hagen the Unclean into an action game, which I don't never played World of Warcraft, so I don't know the reference. There's a lot about the menagerie, but I'm going to close the activity part with we love the menagerie. It's great. It's a great middle spot on a 6-player activity pyramid with raids sitting at the top. Escalation Protocol, aka partying in the public, is a great base. We want to do more activities like this, but in context of what we learn and in a way that we can better support them over the long term. And with the last block here, it's pretty long. We're almost done. Season of Opulence, Part 4, The Chalice of Opulence. And somehow, even more Season of Drifter thoughts. I mix it up. Having some ways to target and farm specific gear in Destiny is great. We did a version of this with Black Army weapons, but the very, very long character-specific attunement questline for the Forges was a bit much, which it was with 3 characters. We made the Opulence attunement account-wide as a result. The Chalice was even bigger version of targeting rewards. Players could unlock different sets of armor, different weapons, and even a select their masterwork perk roll. Pause on Chalice thoughts. We will come back to the Chalice. Let's talk about how we build the game. While content for Destiny is released serially, it is largely developed in parallel. For instance, while Forsaken was in its final few months, Black Army was well underway and Seasoned Drifter was in development while Black Army was being built, etc. For years people wondered, why doesn't X do the thing content drop Y did? Get it together, Bungie. This is one of the reasons why, so even though Menagerie is sweet, the Chalice is great, while Shadowkeep was being built, the Menagerie and Chalice hadn't had yet been released, so we didn't know how players would react. Because we have built so much, because we have so much to build, we frequently find ourselves having to place many bets at the same time. This has paid dividends at times. We discover new and awesome things like Escalation Protocol or Menagerie, and this has also resulted in things that feel like setbacks at other times. An example of a setback is the reward chase from the Season of Drifter. There are a bunch of super awesome weapons in Drifter, 1-2 punch, last man standing, which I haven't. I want that weapon. But the path to them isn't clear like Black Armor or the Chalice. We didn't do a good enough job of rewarding players for their time or giving them clearer paths to some of the sweet weapons in the release. If we had a do-over with the season's rewards, we'd probably have dropped armor directly from Prime and maybe use Reckoning combined with learnings from the Menagerie fail fail forward mechanics to let players chase awesome rolls on weapons they could love. While I got pretty lucky with rapid hit, kill clip spell rations, I personally had more fun chasing my Kindred Orchid or Offstringer. Unpause by the Chalice. The Chalice isn't perfect, being held hostage by the rune you want to drop from a strike or crucible to go make a weapon or armor piece you're coveting is pretty frustrating. It is, but once you start playing with 3 characters, you just get a million runes. Anyways, in the beginning was annoying, I guess. But having more ways in the game to pursue loot in a deterministic fashion while preserving the hunt for a great role is something that we hope to explore. And here we have the last stuff here. Things left unsaid-ish while looking back. There's a lot of awesome stuff we didn't spend time talking about. Tribute Hall, Lumina, the cool Drifter cinematic with the Taken Captain, lore books, Vanguard / Drifter choice, etc. Full disclosure, I'm almost going to focus on opportunities for improvement rather than celebration. We're in midst of Solstice and moments of triumph, so the learnings for those are still bubbling up. Looking ahead to looking ahead. The rest of the Director's Cut updates are going to focus on Shadow Keep and the changes we're making this year. Here are some things that we're going to include. Supers and PvP in Destiny 2, armor stats, mods, and trade-offs, power sources and engrams, which suck. Engrams are ruthless when you get max power. They're pretty good at the beginning, but they just don't do much after that. And the world. Damage numbers, damage stackings, rules, and more. I know there's a lot to read because there is a lot to write. I appreciate you taking the time to make it this far. Like all things, Destiny is a journey. The next 2 parts of this journey will look at RPG and combat game. See you soon, Luke Smith. It's a set of aspirational goals that can help guide the team to create better experiences for Destiny who love Destiny. Wait, better experience for players who love Destiny. Wow, what's Destiny's way? Anyway, and it's a simple way to describe how we're thinking about the game to all of you. And even when it's true, there will always be work left to do, and we're committed to it. Fun fact, Hygen the Unclean was often called the dance boss in the WoW raid Naxxramas, and Haspiko means the butcher's dance in Greek. It's a little nod back to Destiny's Zur reference, and it goes to a wiki page here shows Zurios, well, Keeper of the Void, which is pretty cool. Easter egg and Waterwell graph. Look at all these ads. Holy crap! Get me out of here. All right, so it's pretty cool. Very, very lot of information to take in. Like I said, there's gonna be 2 more parts. This is not a first reaction. I would have, it would have been a little bit better if I read it, on the first day. But I said I messed it up. But next 2 I won't mess up, and I'll read it from there. Basically, there's one thing I do want to check though, which got released today, which would be a first reaction. I would not. I didn't take a look at them, but they did have the video for their thing. Um, what do you call it? They had their video for their mods, the mod video. So I'm gonna watch the video, but I'm going to go and basically what do you call it? I'm gonna go and go to their Twitter, and they posted a couple posts. Basically, it might be a spoiler for myself because I haven't watched the videos yet. I watched the full video, so it probably is a spoiler. But I'm just gonna take a look at them from the bottom. So here we are. Armour Changes are coming.
Targeting because I don't want to look bad on the stream when I miss a headshot. So
no one wants to
I'm going to go ahead and upgrade here. And so now I've upgraded a few and I've got enough energy for it, so I can go ahead and socket this in. So now I've got enhanced sniper rifle targeting right there waiting on me. And it's also worth noting that mod didn't go away. Right.
Interesting.
Unlocks are the future.
Yes, all armor mods are unlocked. So once you've acquired it once, it is then unlocked forever. It can be socketed into as many pieces of armor.
That's actually pretty good. I like that. I do enjoy it. Use enhancement cards, as it seems like. I'll probably explain. What is this?
Actually, yeah. So the mods will actually drop from about 3 different sources. You'll get
Exotic has
the
it.
gunsmith.
Cool.
He will both sell mods on a rotating basis, so basically they'll rotate through and you can just buy them from him.
Yep.
You can also get them from gunsmith packages, so like if you get the gunsmith
Oof. Why am I lagging? That's a first. Okay, broke it.
sometimes it will include a mod.
Okay.
You'll also be able to get them from just world engrams, and then also some of the mods, like the enhanced mods, will come from engrams that you'll get from Iron Banner and the Raid and
Iron Banner,
hail
here I come.
Basically, like they're grouped into big chunks there, so that's where
Numbers.
you'll be able to go get them.
Yeah.
69,
Let's get to work.
nice.
People
Yeah.
know what to do. People
Totally
know where to go.
on purpose.
Yeah, so the mods
That's
will
on
actually
purpose.
drop from about 3 different sources.
Okay. Look good, play
Come
good.
on,
Because
yeah, let's go.
I can't not. I gotta make myself look pretty.
Come on,
because
yeah, let's go.
I can't not play the fashion game a little bit.
Yep.
So I like my solstice gear for the most part, but I think I want to change out this headpiece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go into my ornaments and I'm going to.
You can use the old ones.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is the one.
So these are the universal ornaments that we gave sort of just a conversational, textual preview of in a previous conversation, and I mean this is a huge shift for us.
I need
I
something.
gotta make myself look pretty.
Come on,
because
yeah.
Oh, I wish I could read this in stream, but 781 gear. XP. I see XP.
Let's go. I can't.
I don't know what's the actual. What it says here. Well, I'll have to watch stream. Anyways, this was posted 2 minutes ago. What is this
Bottom
about?
path actually is viable now.
Wow.
And so I'm just going to quickly hover over these things. I won't go into too much detail. You guys can screen cap it or whatever you want out there as you're watching the streams. But the main thing is like there's a really cool synergy now between the smoke bomb that the hunter has as well as the grenade. And so those two things kind of tie back and forth into if I can throw my smoke bomb down, and with the bottom path, as many hunters know, it actually makes you
Fire shot multiple times in rapid succession, massive damage, increase defeating enemies, increase orbs of light, and grants nearby allies harder
and
to
your
pack.
allies invisible. So I'll be doing that often in this stream, but that actually recharges my grenade energy. And then when I have my grenade up and I throw that on an enemy and it starts to tick the enemy with damage, it actually increases my melee energy charge. So I'm actually able to kind of create this cycle of feeding those two things back into each. Bottom path
Interesting.
actually is viable now.
Interesting.
And so
Interesting. Alright, anyways, I think that's it for this video. Like I said, we'll watch the other ones. I mean, not watch, we'll, what do you call it? We will, read the other ones if you enjoy it. I don't know. It's just something. Might as well do it. I need to read them anyways because I'm interested. I'm very curious to see what Luke has to say for all this. So, we'll see. Sorry. Anyways, time to go.